for joining us here again today. We have Mr. Drew here with us. Drew, thanks for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me.
And you do something pretty spectacular. When we sat down, I was kind of miffed. I'm like, there's no way that this is actually a thing. And you and I had a pretty extensive conversation about how you can actually help local businesses and bigger businesses grow their business through their EIN. Can you explain a little bit further?
Absolutely. There's really a lot to unpack there because depending on what a business's needs are and wants and desires, there's so much you can do. So you know how when we're born, we're issued a social security number?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, when we birth our business, the IRS, this might be the one time you're happy to hear from the IRS.
It doesn't happen often, that's for sure.
It doesn't happen often, but what about the day you get the notice that, hey, we've issued you what's called an EIN number?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, and that's your employee identification number, and it's your tax ID for your business. So what people and businesses owners don't realize or understand is that that EIN number is like yours and my social security number.
Yeah.
That means your business is its own person, right?
Yep. Sort of.
And sort of, kind of. No, it really is.
It kind of is, yeah. The way you handle it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on, apologies. And so what people don't realize is that you can actually build up robust, distinct, separate credit on that business's EIN without you as a co-borrower or a guarantor, which usually you have to use your SSN, your social security number. And so that's, if you want to go 30,000 feet, what we do is we help businesses separate their personal assets from their business liabilities. And I can give you stories and reasons as to why this is something you want to do.
Let's do one story. Let's pick, I hate to say your favorite because it's like your favorite child that's not happening, but their most recent, we'll do it that way. What's your most recent story of a company that you've able to help, so that way people can kind of visualize what it is you do?
Oh boy. And I have a ton of stories. So it just depends what, where we want to go. I'm going to tell you from my personal experience being
perfect.
Okay. So I'm a born and bred entrepreneur. Literally, I think I was made to be an entrepreneur. And I've had businesses since the age of 8. And I've built a ton of businesses. As a matter of fact, for fun, because I like to look at numbers. And now that I'm doing more shows like this, and webinars and podcasts, I thought, I ought to take a look at this number. And interesting enough, if I look at the sales of all the companies I have stood up in my lifetime, they've done over 100 mil.
Jeez, oh man.
So
you did it for the company.
Huh?
You did it for the company. They made that much, yeah?
Yeah, I didn't make 100 mil.
Yeah.
But, and like I had an internet company, and that was my big one. We had in the lifespan of the company, we had brought in 80 million worth of sales. But the point being, I'm good at building businesses. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I do. Now, the reason I bring this up is not to brag. It's because one of my businesses last year, I had to close, and it hurt. It really hurt because it was one of my favorite businesses. It was something really fun. It was an interactive motion ride, amusement park experience.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. And, it did about $4 million over the 8 years we were in business. So it's a lifestyle business. You weren't going to get rich off of it. But the cool stat I want to share with you is we had almost 500,000 people experience this ride.
That's awesome.
That's a lot of folks. Okay.
Yeah.
So long story short, during COVID, we took on SBA financing. We used our credit cards like all business owners do. My personal credit score started dropping because I'm feeding the business, and they were legit business expenses. Anyways, after COVID, it ran for a while, but then we realized that the traffic wasn't there anymore and our sales weren't what they used to be. And I had a thriving business that I had to start feeding. And I'm not in the business of loaning my companies money if I can help it, right?
Yeah.
So my wife and I came to the hard decision that we're going to have to shut this business that we love. And we sold the assets of it. But here's the thing. We got stuck with all that company debt. Whatever was left over after we sold the asset, guess who's responsible? The business owners. And you can't just file bankruptcy and walk away anymore. They've changed all the bankruptcy laws in our country that you have to do some kind of a workout over your lifetime. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't go bankrupt. We've absorbed the debt and we're dealing with it. We'll handle it. But this happens all the time to people. So that's kind of a disaster story.
Yeah.
I have plenty of beautiful stories, but that's just a
Look at it.
particular. Go ahead.
Let's look at that situation again. So how would the EIN building that you do, how would that have helped in retrospect? Would that have helped you?
Yes. So exactly. Most businesses that fail, they fail for one reason only. They run out of capital. They run out of money.
Yeah.
If we had access to lines of credit, maybe we had a $50,000 or $100,000 line of credit that belonged to the business in the business's EIN credit.
I see where you're going there.
I could have struggled for a few months and borrowed and kept us going to weather the storm. I didn't have enough gunpowder, if you want to call it. I didn't have enough to weather the storm.
So when you come across people and you start building up that credit, do you also sit down and like consult them and say, listen, that's a pretty cool idea, or maybe not so much, and do some research and help them out a little bit? Or how does that usually go down?
It depends. What life cycle are they in? Are they a new startup or are they existing and they're wanting to expand?
Okay.
Which one are you asking about?
So let's say a startup, because that's usually what we'll probably do, a startup, and they'll want to start building your IN from scratch. And I know you've been there personally and raised a few businesses. Do you like give them a little insight and say, listen, maybe think of this, maybe think of that, or do you just like get right to the EIN and credit stuff?
That's a great question. So can we help startups? Absolutely. It's the best time to actually start building credit is when you're just birthing the company, because I'll tell you why. To build pure corporate EIN only credit takes time. And I know we live in this quick fix, I want it now world.
Yeah.
I get it. I want a lot of stuff now too. But the process that we take our customers through takes at least a year.
Yeah.
It's slow and steady wins the race. We work with the member or the client every week or every month, on how to properly build it up. So if you're a new startup and you have some dollars and you can afford to, work on your credit at the same time, it will surely benefit you down the road big time.
So, all right, so let's do the other one then. Let's say somebody is already established. It's still going to take them a year or so, I would assume, to build up the things that you need them, right? You're looking for certain indicators, I assume.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So the first thing we do, let's say you're an established company, is we're going to spend time just looking at the foundation of your company to see where did you register it? Does the address match like state, city, feds, everywhere? Because a lot of times people move and they don't fix their address everywhere. If a bank were to run your business credit and see you've got mismatched addresses,
red flag.
Red flag, you're done. If you don't have a clean website, red flag. If you don't use your website's email address and you're using a Gmail, like the name, say it's abcsmith@gmail.com. It should be your name at abcsmith.com.
Really?
Yeah. So if
I
you're
did not know that one.
Yeah, if you're not using your domain name's email address, you're going to get denied credit.
Really?
Yeah.
So we should all set up emails then, at least.
Yeah, set up legit emails. It's cheap to do. Here's another one for you. You need to have a real business phone number. If you've posted your cell phone on your website because you want people to call you directly, fine, but a bank's going to deny you credit because it doesn't look legit. It's a personal cell phone. So all you do, and you can do this through us inside of our platform, is we have about 3 different vendors that you can choose from, and you get a virtual business line.
Okay. I've heard
and
of that.
you can forward that to your cell phone.
Yeah.
But at least the banks, if they run a check on your phone line, they're going to go, okay, yeah, I got a real business phone line.
I have never thought of that stuff. That's interesting. All right. So now that I'm going to take a deep dive here, because now I'm curious. I have the email, right? I got a legit phone number. What's another one that like people just don't think of? You have any more examples?
Yeah, here's one for you. I mean, you and I are old enough potentially to know this, but I don't know if the audience might be. Maybe they are.
Maybe they are, right?
Do you remember back in the day we had to dial 411 to get somebody's number?
Oh, yeah.
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 Maybe you're younger than I think.
The 411. Yeah, and they used to come and used to give out a phone book too.
That's right. Remember that?
Yeah.
So if you have a business phone number, we have to make sure we help you get it registered with the National 411 Directory. Even though very few people dial 411 for information anymore, it's a national phone number database, and we got to make sure your business line shows up in that database.
That's interesting too.
These are all the tricks that we do. By the way, have you heard of LexisNexis?
No.
So LexisNexis is the biggest information gathering research company on the planet. I think they have like 10,000 people working for them.
Really? And I've never heard of it.
Oh, they're tracking everything that has to do with you and me and everything. Okay?
That I believe.
Yeah. And so we basically do like 125 checkpoint on your company and everything. We want to make sure it looks really, really good before we start presenting you to lenders and vendors that will agree to issue you credit just in your company's name.
Yeah, that part. Okay, cool. All right. So we'll take that direction now that you bring it up. So let's say I've got a company, I've been running it for a little bit. I come to you and we're like, all right, cool. I really want to add some trucks, something, whatever. I want to add like 10 trucks to my fleet. I want to start using my EIN. We sit down, you like, all right, I got to do this. You got to do this. You got to do this. And it takes about a year or so. How does it work that the EIN can actually how do you make that leap?
Yeah, that's such a great question. I love that. I love your curiosity.
Yeah.
So this is going to blow your mind. Okay.
Yeah.
In the traditional credit world, right, you have to either have assets or you have to have income to debt ratio, right? They want to see what's your income to debt ratio.
Okay.
In the corporate EIN world, it's completely different in the beginning and middle stages. We don't care about your business's income. We don't care about your business's debt and all that stuff. Okay. All we want to do, and this is what we do, a credit analyst that we assign to you is going to say, okay, William, do you go by William or Bill?
Always Billy. I feel a little younger, Billy. I need all the help I can get with all this gray hair, you know?
Yeah, I like Billy. So they're going to say, okay, Billy, tell us about your company's monthly expenses. And you're going to say, okay, well, I have an office, I pay rent. I've got some employees, I have payroll. We have an internet, we have phone, tell us about all your stuff. If you're a trucking company, you've got fuel, you've got insurance, you've got tires and maintenance, right? Mm-hmm. Repair. Okay. So what we do is we help you figure out how to get your natural monthly expenses in that company to show up at the 3 business credit bureaus, which are Dun & Bradstreet, they're the biggest, Experian Business, not consumer, Experian Business, and Equifax Business, not consumer business, okay? And what we're finding, and another thing that'll blow you away, most companies out there they're listed on one or none of them. And they've been in business. They
don't know it exists.
They've been in business for 40 years.
Yeah, they have no idea.
And they're doing millions of dollars a month or a year. And we run their EIN credit report and it says they're a nothing burger. You know why? They hadn't been purposefully building credit up. You have to purposefully build credit up in the business world. And we know how to do it by leveraging your expenses. The more expenses from your company that you already pay that we can get to show up at the 3 business credit bureaus, and we teach you how to just charge and pay. Charge and pay. Don't charge and leave a balance. That's not what we're doing in the early stages. We're showing the banks that 1, we need the money, and so we're going to borrow it from you. 2, we borrowed it and we paid it back quickly, very responsibly. Mm-hmm. By doing that, other lenders and vendors are going to see this behavior and say, I'd like to offer you some money. I'd like to offer you, like Dell is one of our partners inside of our platform. So if you're a company and you're like, we want to upgrade all our computers, once we get you to a certain level inside the EIN credit world, you can apply for Dell credit and get all new computers on your EIN, no personal guarantees.
And people are paying these bills anyway.
Exactly. You nailed it.
Paying the bills.
You're already paying these bills. Let us help you get them to show up at the credit bureaus so you're getting extra credit for paying your credit.
Okay, so I go in there, we did all the things, we build up the credit, we spend a year, I buy the trucks, right? You can buy the trucks through the business, or how does that work? I still have to pay out of pocket. How does that work?
Yeah, so So now you've gone through our process, and there's a lot of steps in there that we walk you through. It's a 7-step program, and there's 4 different tiers of credit. You start off at tier 1, the baby credit, and once you graduate, then you go to tier 2. It's larger accounts, larger vendors and lenders. They'll issue you bigger numbers. Then you go to 3. Our goal is by the end of that 12 months to get you to that tier 4. That's where the magic happens. That's what we say. It's like the holy grail of credit, because that's where you can start getting true detached EIN credit. You may have to co-sign along the way, right? Because they don't know who you are. So they may say, Billy, we're going to give you a $5,000 credit card. We do want you to guarantee it in the beginning, but once you've proven yourself, we'll drop the guarantee and it will just be Billy. Now, this is see, I love this stuff.
It's crazy.
I love this stuff. Okay, listen to this. This is gonna blow. I got so much stuff that can blow your mind. You know, if you have a business credit card, and we all who run businesses have business credit,
yep.
Right. If that business credit card has your name on it, it's not a real business credit card. It's a fake business credit card.
It's got to have the company name on it.
It's got to only have the company name on it. That's true EIN corporate credit. What these guys do, like Chase Inc. and Capital One Spark Card, is they say, hey, we'll give you a business credit card. And it is good because you can track your business expenses. It's its own account, belongs to your business. But guess what? It doesn't show up on your personal credit report, which is good, but it also doesn't show up on your business credit report, which is bad.
Yeah.
So it's not a true corporate card. It's a fake one. So once you go through our program, we're going to get you, by the end, a real corporate credit card that just has your business name on it only, and only your business is responsible for it.
Okay. So we have all this stuff. We built the credit. We can buy the cars. If something happens and you have to liquidate or you go to bankruptcy, you're still held responsible. Is that still correct? Even though it's under the business and it's under the business EIN, you're not like immunity. You're not like built-in immunity, right?
Well, right now you're not. There's no immunity. Right now there's no immunity. But if you build up EIN credit, we can shift a lot of your risk to some immunity for sure. Because if your business is going to fold and you have built up EIN credit over the years, and let's say 5 or 10 years from now, the world's coming to an end, I don't know, whatever it is, any account that we've set up as EIN only, you're not personally responsible for. You can close that company or bankrupt it or what have you, and you personally have protected your assets. That's the key right there. Why would you want to risk your home and your kids' college funds and your 401ks and your bank accounts? Why would anybody want to risk that, as a business owner? Why? When there's another way. There's another way.
Now, you also said before we hit the record button, there's certain kinds, right? It's got to be LLC, S Corp, C Corp.
Yeah, I want to back up just 1 second because I realized I didn't answer your automobile question.
That's all right. We're getting into such cool tangents that we're not actually answering questions.
I get so passionate about this stuff. Because I've lived it. I've lived it my whole life.
Yeah.
So here's a cool story for you. Normally, you should need to get to tier 4. You should be towards the end of that 12-month journey to be able to walk into a Ford dealership, a car dealership, say, I'm looking to get a company car or a company truck, and I want to buy it on my EIN number. And you will get lending on your car without you as a co-borrower in your EIN number, and you'll get the best rates and terms, better than the regular person, because fleet and corporate have better rates than consumer. Okay. So we had a member, listen, this blew me away. I just heard this last week in one of our meetings. We have a member that was only halfway through our program, but they wanted to go test it. And so they walked into the dealership. They're only halfway through. They're not supposed to actually get approved. They walk into the dealership and they said to the guy, I'm here to buy a company vehicle and I'm going to use my EIN number. And the guy said, oh, that's great. We can help you. Now, most likely the bank's going to require you to co-sign. And the member said, nope, I'm not co-signing for nothing. And he said, okay, well, let's look at what you want. Let's see what we can do. So he picked out his vehicle, goes into financing. They run his EIN credit. Granted, it's good, but it's not at the Holy Grail land. It's not tier 4. He gets approved for his vehicle EIN only 1.99% financing. Hello, in today's interest rate, that's
It's
nuts.
like 6 right now.
Yeah, so he gets corporate rates. He got corporate fleet rates, and he got the vehicle in his company name, and he did not have to sign for personally. So we're all cheering because he did it 6 months ahead of schedule. I think that's cool. Okay.
All right, how about this? So, all right, so I'm taking the next step. I'm thinking to myself, all right, if I do this as a company, can you also do things like invest in an office building? Like I want to put my office in that number. Can you do that? Or do the EINs not get quite high enough?
Oh man, I love you. This is so good. No, because you're asking such good questions.
Yeah.
Okay, so I feel like I'm trailing behind you. So to answer your corporate question, if you're a solopreneur, a entrepreneur, whatever, you need to be a real company. So you need to be an LLC, a registered LLC with an EIN number, or an S Corp, C Corp designation. And
Okay.
if any one of those three with an EIN number, you can start to build business credit. You can start on your own, but you'll never get past step one of the 4 steps because you don't know how to play, you don't know how the mechanics work.
Yeah.
Okay. So that answers the corporate number. Now, here's the cool thing. Once we get you to tier 4 EIN credit, and it unlocks all kinds of EIN financing for you. It accounts receivable financing, purchase order financing, equipment financing, automobile financing, and real estate financing. We have members that have been renting their building for years, and they happened to approach the owner and said, would you be interested in selling us the building? Because, and the owner's like, yes, I would. And they've negotiated and gotten the bank loan in the company's name, just on the EIN, just secured by the building. I mean, hello.
Holy smoke.
Now, I got one other story for you because the guy just signed up, and the guy signs up last week. He's a 1-person plumbing outfit. Okay.
Yeah.
He used to have multiple guys, but he said they would quit on him, and he would have spent all this time training them. He's like, so I'm done with employees. And I get that. That happens, right? So he's a 1-man plumber, and he enrolled in our program to build credit, but it's not to grow his plumbing company. You're going to love this. He's like, Drew, I'm 50 something. I don't want to be a plumber till I die. I said, I get that. He said, can I enroll with J Galt, you guys, have you help me build credit on my current plumbing company? But when you get me to the tier 4, can I borrow money to buy my first duplex or triplex and start shifting into the real estate realm so I can retire down the road? And I'm like, you absolutely can do that. So he's leveraging his plumbing company to build credit. Then he's going to borrow the money and then loan it out to his other new company, which will be the real estate venture. And then the real estate venture will service the debt for the plumbing company. And he's going to start to break free from his plumbing company because ultimately he'd rather own real estate and just collect checks.
Now, that's all contingent on his assets and his debits. Is that kind of correct? Like his assets and debits kind of reflect what he can borrow from his EIN? Is that is that the gauge, for lack of a better word?
No, in the beginning stage, it's all going to be about how much of his monthly expenses we can get to show up. But you are right in the sense that when you get to tier 4, let's say you're $1 million a year company.
Yeah.
Well, you're not going to get to go borrow $2 million.
Yeah. That's exactly.
Okay. But if you're a $5 or $10 million a year company and you want to borrow $1 or $2 million, you will be able to borrow it on your EIN. But it's now not just going to be based on your expenses. They will want to see a P&L and balance sheet of your company to make sure your company's healthy enough to repay the loan.
Okay. Now, if everybody in the audience, P&L, you should all know P&Ls here if you're listening. It's your profit and loss sheets. But just in case you don't, if you don't, Drew will help you. He'll get a P&L together for you. He's got all this stuff. He'll do everything.
You know what we all need? We all need to have an MBA, and it doesn't stand for the MBA you're thinking. It stands for we all need to have a bigger major bank account.
Yes. MBA. All right. So other question. All right. Is there some banks, now you say that, are there some banks that are better than others? Does it really matter? Because I always in my head are like, PNC, Bank of America, all these big companies, they're all in bed together. Like it really doesn't make too much difference, but does it make a difference?
It does. I'll tell you
Okay.
why. Those big banks, those big commercial banks, they're the worst. They have, they have the biggest denial rate. Period. Like they only approve 2% of loans, like really small.
Yeah.
And you have to give all your children and your house and everything if you want to get
blood,
approved.
everything. Yeah.
So here's the statistic for everybody. 93% of all lenders and vendors in this country do not report businesses' good payment behavior. Okay? Say that again. 93% don't report your payment history. So you could be a perfect steward of paying your bills. Like, we pay our bills for 20 years perfectly. It doesn't matter. Nope, they're not reporting it.
Right.
So what we did, what Jay Galt did, this is what's genius, is we sourced the 7% out there that guarantee they will report your good behavior. And we said, we will let you get access to our 43, I think it's now 50,000 members. We will let you, Mr. Bank, come in and have access to our 50,000 members under two conditions. One, you loan them on their EIN, okay? And two, you tell us what your lending criteria approval is in advance. This way, our members won't even bother to apply for your credit if they don't fit the bill. So here's an example. Let's say you are looking for a line of credit, and let's say we're using inside of our platform, maybe it's a Key Bank or some regional bank. It's not going to be a Bank of America or a Chase. It's going to be a smaller local bank. And that you're interested in getting a line of credit with them. So before you press apply inside of our system, you're going to say, show me what their lending criteria is. And it'll pull up a little sheet that'll say, must be in business at least 2 years or 5 years. No personal guarantees. Or it may say, we do require personal guarantees. And maybe you don't choose that bank. You're like, oh, well, you're out then, right?
Yeah.
It may say you need to be doing at least 100,000 a year in sales, or you need 12 months worth of bank statements. It's going to tell you exactly what you need to do to be approved. So if you read their list and you're like, oh shoot, I have all that, you can go ahead in our system and click apply. And when you press that button, what's so cool is you know that you're going to get approved.
That's cool stuff. That's fascinating. We could go over this stuff forever. I mean, I can just do all these things all day long, but really it's going to come down to situational stuff. Like people really need to just sit down with you. And then you probably go over their criteria, what they're looking for, their goals, and kind of break it down with them.
100%. So I offer free consultation. We can spend 30 minutes. I want to get to know you. I want to understand your business. And you know what? I want to know, what are your goals and aspirations?
Yeah.
How can what we have help you grow or help your business? Here's a couple of other cool things to think about. One day people might sell their business. Would you agree?
Yeah, they have to. I mean, you're not gonna run it for. You could pass it on to family, but
okay,
you still want to set it up nicely for that.
Yeah, and I can give you scenarios where we can help you with all those scenarios. If you're passing the business down to a son or daughter, are you passing your personal guarantees to them as well?
That gets sticky then, doesn't it?
Do you want them to run the business, but all the guarantees are tied to your house and your assets? I don't think so.
Nope, that's looking bad.
That's an instance where you would want to build up credit for the company and disconnect as much of your personal guarantees as possible in case Johnny or Sally screw up with the company and tank it. Okay? So that's one thing. Two, what if you're selling it to one of your best employees? Like you don't have family to pass it to, but you have a really great employee and you're like, I want to sell you, Billy. You're a good guy. I want to sell you the company. Are you gonna have your personal guarantees there? No. So even
if they're a good guy,
you never want to do that. You want to disconnect. So we help you start disconnecting those personal guarantees from your business so it's bankable on its own. Now let's look at the scenario. What if you're selling the company to a stranger? You're not going to sell them your personal guarantees. Typically, what would happen is they're going to give you a pot of money for the business. You're going to have to go pay off all your debts and close those accounts down, correct?
Yeah.
Or if you had been spending time and effort building up the EIN credit, you could sell the business with the credit lines in place. And if they had lots of room to expand, like you didn't load them down, that becomes an extra asset of the business.
Yeah,
my business, I've got $300,000 worth of credit available to you. we've only drawn down on 50. You can take over my company tomorrow and you have 250 to run with if you need to access capital.
And then you can sell the company for more because there's more value in it, but you didn't do anything but just get your credit score in the right spot. Damn.
You know what I'm saying? We can help in so many ways. It's not even funny. It's good news, bad news, because the good news is we can help in so many ways. The bad news is it could make people go, what? Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, that's why you start with the goals, right? So if you're like, hey, I want to do this someday, you're like, cool, let's start there. And I'm sure as the journey continues, you're like, hey, have you thought about this? And have you thought about that? Right. But you at least get them off on the right foot, and then you start adding later. And then, hey, now that you're here and you're doing the things I'm telling you to do, have you thought about how you're going to sell the business? Have you thought about expanding? But I'm sure you don't throw it all at one time because there's no way they can digest.
No, you can't. We dole it out in little pieces.
Yeah, cool.
And we hold your hand through the whole way. So you actually have someone to talk to and say, what do we do with this? How do we do that? Oh, just go here and do that. Just go there and do that. So we're like the accountability,
Yeah. How does it work? Is it like a portal? You go in there and do. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So you become a member. It's a portal, and then inside the portal is all the steps. But we hold your hand through the whole way, and we don't let you skip steps. If you try to skip steps and hurry along, it'll cause us to have to go back to the beginning.
Yeah. That's cool. That's awesome. This is a good. We could probably do this for another 45 minutes, but I know your time is valuable, so I'm not going to make you do that.
Yours is too.
Is there anything else we haven't covered that you want to go over?
No, it's fun chatting with you. I really do appreciate you and our time.
This is fascinating stuff, and I can't wait to get this in front of all of our people, because I'm already thinking in my head of all the businesses that really could use things like this. I'm thinking like contractors. I'm thinking like a handful, even like farmers, contractors, people that are like have
chiropractors, dentists, contractors, plumbers, HVAC, anybody that's got a good amount of monthly expenses. We can leverage that to balloon that up and get them a lot of credit. When I say balloon, I mean get them credit.
Man, that's amazing. That's cool stuff. So, all right, man, I appreciate you. We're gonna put you in front of all of our people, and we hope there's some really need to reach out to you. Like there's a few that I know need to.
Hey, listen, I'm a friendly guy. I don't bite.
Yeah, that's right. All right, awesome. So do you have a preferred method of contact? We're gonna throw your information on here. Does it matter? Phone call, email?
No, I'm easygoing. You want to call me? I am West Coast, so just keep that in mind. Okay. But it doesn't matter. I'm an entrepreneur just like everybody on this channel. So like I take calls 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night, my time. I don't care.
Nice. Is there a website they can get more information from?
Yeah, that'll be listed right there too. We'll have the website, my email address, and my phone number, I think, and my LinkedIn. We'll put all that right here below the bottom.
We'll toss it on there. Cool. All right, awesome. If we're all good, then I appreciate your time. And we're about dinner time for you, so we'll let you go off and get some dinner here in a minute.
I appreciate that, man.
All right, man. Have a good night.